Today's case is sponsored by the letter E. E stands for, in this matter, education, which is an important component to licensure eligibility of the professions. And in this particular case that we're going to discuss today, a student was dismissed after his first year of law school for failure to live up to the academic standards required within the student code. And so he was dismissed from the program. And he filed a lawsuit back against the program, arguing that he was entitled to certain due process rights based upon the loss of his interest in his education. The case wound its way up to the Texas Supreme Court eventually, which had reversed the lower court. The lower court had ruled that the student was entitled to due process rights because he had a property interest in his education. The Texas Supreme Court reversed that ruling, finding that a student does not have a property interest in his education if he is dismissed for academic grounds, because it does not carry the stigma for the loss of the access to the educational program. Interestingly, if the student was dismissed for disciplinary grounds, he would be entitled to those due process rights. So this case, again, ultimately decided by the Supreme Court Supreme Court of Texas recently, was determined that there is no due process rights for an academic dismissal, and therefore the Supreme Court reversed the lower court and upheld the dismissal of the student for the lack of performance related to academic standards. This case is important for the regulatory community because the role education plays in assisting the regulatory community, specifically regulatory boards, in determining licensure eligibility. And E, in this case, standing for education, is one of those important components that are relied upon by the regulatory community, specifically state boards, to determine eligibility for licensure. So academic programs are able to uphold the student codes related to academic performance and dismiss students that do not perform well without worry of violating due process rights or the stigma associated with them. So we will keep an eye on cases in the future, and this E-sponsored session today helps identify an important component of licensure eligibility.